Relationships, the hot topic as of late, and the topic that I've been guided to speak about for us to take a look at why now. And I'm sure we've come through this place of evaluating relationships in lives throughout our lifetimes. But the difference now is that so many of us have gone on a healing journey of self-awareness and understanding and self-discovery, that we are now being presented once again with the topic of relationships, because we are now in a different level of awareness, perception. So now we are being given the opportunity to look back and evaluate all of the relationships that we have had in our life. Now, relationships doesn't have to be just about romantic relationships. Relationships have to do with family relationships, relationships with friends, relationships with money, with abundance, with work, anything that has to do with a dynamic, relationship dynamic. It is what is being shown to us now. Again, because we are at a different level of awareness and perception. And now the opportunity is being given to us to evaluate these relationships, to get a better understanding of who we are, who we were, and who we are becoming. It's stepping into the authentic version of who we are, the truth of who we are, which really has a lot to do with vulnerability, right? The more transparent that we are, the more that we can express how we feel, is going to help us to understand what we need, what we want in our lives to change, because this is all about change. So let's talk about relationships. And like I said earlier, relationships is not only about romantic relationships. It is the whole dynamic surrounding relationships. How we relate to people, places, and things in our life, right? The most important relationship that you will ever have is the relationship that you have with yourself, because that is where it begins. That relationship that you have with yourself is really the tell-all, or what brings in the relationships that we surround ourselves with, or what we put out there that comes back to us. All comes down to the relationship that you have with yourself. What type of relationship do you have with yourself? How do you feel about yourself? These are questions that we want to sometimes ask. Where are we now in this present moment in relationships to ourselves? Do you like yourself? Is there changes that you would like to make? Do you understand where a lot of these experiences that we have been in came about? Again, we are at a level of relationships at a whole nother level of awareness. And that is why it is coming up and is so important right now, because we are meant to look at things differently than we've ever looked at them before. Because in the past versions of ourselves, way back to past lives, generational, ancestors, relationships were very different because of where we were at that time. What version were we at that time? So this is not about judging yourself for maybe failed relationships, or things that never worked out, or things that you've always wished would work out that never worked out, or things that we allowed, or things that we allowed ourselves to put up with or tolerate, and the things and situations that we put ourselves in. It's not about judging yourself at all. It's merely about you becoming aware and now sitting back and beginning to observe where you are in this present moment and what it is that you truly want to add to your life. And we gain that by what we've gone through. Because if we've never gone through any of those experiences with relationships, we wouldn't even be at this place to be able to sit back and observe at a whole nother level of awareness. So let's talk about it. Romantic relationships. Has that come up for you as of late? Romantic relationships from your past? Or are you finding that relationships from your past are beginning to surface now, and you're taking a look at those relationships and how they affected you and where you were at that time in your life? Maybe there's old relationships surfacing now or resurfacing now for you to take a look at. The ones that are resurfacing, again, is for us to sit back and say, what do I see in this relationship? Does this relationship feel good to me? Or is it just familiar and I want to just go back to that place of being familiar with it, right? You will probably find that you're starting to question it because of the level of awareness and the frequency and vibrational level that we are in right now. Anything that is out of alignment with you, that no longer aligns with who you are in this present moment, will not feel good in your body. You will feel it immediately in your body. It'll be almost like a rejection. It doesn't feel good anymore. You feel some chills, or you might feel like this horrible feeling in the pit of your stomach, right? That is your body telling you, let's look at this. It doesn't feel good, does it? So maybe we really aren't meant to be here. But again, we have to go through that to really get to that place of saying whether or not we want to be in that relationship or not. And then we have to trust ourselves enough to say, okay, this is no longer serving me. It served whatever purpose it needed to serve, but I am a whole nother version of who I am, and this is no longer in alignment with me. As we continue to evolve and move forward, and move into 5D and go into this higher frequency and vibration, all of that is not going to feel good to us anymore. We're not meant to bring the past with us into this new. We're meant to evaluate, review, understand, not to judge, but to merely, again, understand what lesson you have learned from that experience. And if it is in alignment with you or not. Does it bring harmony or does it bring disharmony? Does it bring peace or does it bring chaos? We're being given that opportunity to take a look at it now. Again, a whole nother level and lens of experience, because we're different. So the things that we may have wanted in our life in the past, we no longer feel connected to in this present moment. And it's okay to step away from it and move away from it and move forward. So romantic relationships is really coming up as far as who I am and what I want to add into my life now in this brand new version of who I have become, based on where I have been. Do we find ourselves still holding on to relationships from the past, knowing that there is never going to be anything more than the possibility of just getting some attention now and then, right? Is that why we hold on to the relationship? Because it gives us a feeling of Someone's paying attention to me. But yet you know that there's no way that you want to pursue this in a romantic way or want to take it with you into the new. So this is where we need to really evaluate that, okay? Why do we choose to hold on to those relationships that we don't feel aligned to as far as developing a true relationship with that person? A lot of times we just hold on because it's an escape, a distraction when we're feeling down. But is that truly fair to you, or is it fair to the other person? Especially if the other person is in love with you and they still have that hope that one day you will choose them. It's not fair, is it? So this is where you have to really show some love and compassion. If that relationship really is important to you, then you need to set it free, especially if you know it is not moving forward for you, and that you only hold on to it for days when you're feeling down or distracted. Okay? Now there is some of those romantic relationships that we feel like we can be friends with. But really, can we? This is where you really want to look at it. Is it truly a friend that you want to keep in your life? Or is it just someone that you can go back to whenever you're feeling down and need some attention? Again, it's not fair to that other person. So we have to cut cords. We have to cut those energy cords from those types of relationships that we know we really are not going to move forward or develop into anything more than that. And some people would say, well, I'm very open about that, and I tell them that I am not looking for anything more. And so then maybe the other person will be like, okay, I understand, even though they know deep down inside that they're still hoping that opportunity will show itself where you will choose them. So they're also evaluating their connections and relationships as well. So it's coming from all directions. They're going to sit back and they're going to see, why am I truly holding on to this relationship that does not make me feel good? And that it only comes in when they need me, right? When they need a distraction or attention. Am I okay with the temporary fulfillment that I get because I feel so deeply for this person? Or do I truly want to move on and cut this cord so that I can find someone who really truly matches me, who truly wants to be with me and spend time with me and grow with me and develop with me? Not someone who just comes in and out whenever they feel they need attention, right? So again, not only are you, and you can be the one on the other side, or you can be the one who's doing that, okay? We're on all directions being asked to look at this, to reevaluate how we truly feel about those relationships in our lives. So really take the time to sit with yourself to see what feels right to you. And I don't mean temporary fulfillment. I mean long-term fulfillment, okay? What you truly want to see for yourself and what you want to see happen for you. All of this really begins, it's like a pattern that's repeated over and over and over because of a false identity that we created a long time ago. And because we wore that mask and created that identity for so long, we forgot truly who we really were and who we really are meant to be. We don't know it when we're going through it. When we're in that version, the unawakened version, we really don't know it until we get to this new level of awareness, understanding. Because right now we're going to feel it. We're going to feel it on all levels, mainly physically, energetically. What doesn't feel right and what feels right. And most people are going to go with that. And again, it's not about temporary fulfillment. This is about fulfillment. Because if you want to step into the true version of who you are, the authentic version of who you are, then you need to be truthful with yourself on all levels. On all levels. Maybe the people that you've never told how you felt about them, that you love them, and it's just something you held on forever. Why didn't you ever tell them? It just takes up space inside your mind, body, and spirit. And it really prevents you from really moving forward to find the true version of, or the true match of what you are meant to be connected to. And I'm not saying everyone run out there and call up all your exes from a long time ago and tell them how much you love them and you never told them, unless you want to. But the hardest thing is, and this is why so many people don't share or show vulnerability, because everyone is afraid of rejection, right? We're all afraid of rejection. And this is not only applying to romantic relationships. This is applying to friends, to family, to those situations and dynamics as well, relationship dynamics. It's always that fear of rejection or abandonment or not being good enough. But do you feel like you're good enough? This is where you have to really sit back and say, I am worthy and I value who I am. And all of these versions of me, I will never judge, because all of those old versions of who I was who I was at that time in my life, because of whatever I've gone through and whatever identity that I created to get through life as much as I could. Then one day, here it comes. Everything being shed, the mask falling off, rose-colored glasses being taken down, perception changing, clarity changing, physical, emotional, mental, everything is changing. Everything is trying to harmonize now. We're trying to harmonize. We're trying to come into a place of balance and harmony. So we're going to feel those times when things, people, places do not match. And the only way we can get through this is to really honor ourselves in this moment and be honest with ourselves of what we truly want in our lives. What do we want to take into this new creation of who we truly are, this new version? Again, not everyone or everything is going to come with you. It's time for us to change that dynamic so we can be fully connected and in balance and in harmony with ourselves. Because that, again, is where it begins, with ourselves and the relationship that we have with ourselves. You have to be honest about how you feel about yourself. Okay? So relationships are coming up very heavily. You may even find instances where a deceased loved one comes up into your awareness, and you start to think about that relationship with that loved one who has passed on. You may start to think, I never really had the opportunity to grow in this dynamic, in this loved one who's passed on. We've never got to heal it. We've never got to bring it into harmony if there was disruptions in that relationship that we never were able to heal, right? The disharmony that we had in that relationship. So that may be coming up. It may be family members or friends from a long time ago, and you're starting to look back and observe those relationships. Who was I then? Why were they in my life? Why did I choose to walk away? Why do I still think about them? What is it that I want to change or heal from that part and time in my life. There's going to be a lot of hard truths that come up. But again, it's not about self-judgment. It's more about you just observing, aha, that's who I was then. It's not who I am now. I don't judge myself. But I no longer need to hold on to that energy anymore because I've passed it. And it's not to say that they were good or they were bad, because every situation and every experience and every person that comes in and out of our life, in and out of our life, comes in for a reason, to teach us a lesson. And if we don't learn that lesson at the time, again, because when we're at a state of not being as aware as we are now, we truly don't see that at that time until later on in life, when the universe comes in and says, okay, it's time for you to evaluate. What is it that you want to change, release, let go, so that you can move forward in a whole nother version and creation of yourself? What no longer is in alignment with you? Where is there disharmony? Where is there harmony? You know, what makes you feel good? What doesn't make you feel good? So we're going to look back at those old versions of ourselves, and we may begin to see a lot of hard truths. But that's a good thing, because at that time you couldn't see it. This time you could see it. So you could look back without self-judgment and say, that's who I was, and that's okay. That's where I was. And that's what maybe I allowed at that time. But not to judge yourself, but just to say that is where I was and it is okay. It is a version I created back then. But now I can look back at it and say, I'm at peace with it. I can make peace with it. I can let it go and I can move forward because I know who I am now. And I know it is going to make me happy. Not everyone is going to be able to get there. But again, we're going to be challenged with these relationship dynamics, once again, especially now, for us to understand it, for us to heal it, for us to let go of it, to release it, so that we can start bringing in brand new relationship dynamics that are going to match and align with who you are and where you are in this moment in time, which may look very different than it was before. There's a lot of times where we have to just be in our own energy, and mostly we are meant to be in our own energy, because being in our own energy is going to help us, see who we are, discover who we are, see where we've been, see where we are, and see where we want to be. Relationships with money and abundance never coming in. Why is it never coming in? Because we have not gotten into the frequency or vibration of matching with it, or feeling like we deserve it. Even if we say we do, if there is a part of you that does not feel comfortable with it, it's not that it's not there for you, because we are abundant beings and it's always there for us. It's just, can it come in? Are we able to receive it? Are we able to accept it? But if there's a part of us that just gets nervous with the thought of it, it's going to push it away until you get to the place of saying, I'm ready. I'm ready to do this. I'm ready to allow my abundance to come in. I'm ready to receive it. But we don't really get to that level until we have come to a place in our life where we can understand where it all began, why we feel the lack or scarcity mindset or victim mentality, all of those lower thinking consciousness, lower levels of thinking, okay? That is just how it's been for so long. Lower levels of consciousness. It's been like that for centuries, civilizations, right? Where, we didn't feel we could have it. And, there was a lot of struggle and fight or flight in a lot of those times where we were poor, but we don't all know what our past lives are. But even if we don't know, if you can get to a place where you can start to connect with yourself and really know who you are and say to yourself, even if I don't know where it originally came from a past life, I still send love to those parts of myself. I send love and light to those parts of myself. And it's okay. That was then, and this is now. I no longer need to carry it with me. I'm ready. I'm ready now to receive it fully. How does that feel? How does that feel to receive true love into your life? To receive abundance and prosperity and health, good health. How does that feel in your body? Where do you feel resistance? In those areas of resistance, we want to clear it. We want to heal it. We want to send love to it. Because it's only in that moment that we can start to connect, align, by knowing what it feels like within our mind, body, and spirit. So again, we're being given this opportunity to look back at those relationships to see what is in alignment with me and what is not in alignment with me. And sometimes it's really hard for us to let go of the things that we are so used to, right? Even if it's toxic relationships. A lot of that is like an addiction to some people. Being in a toxic relationship is an addiction, unfortunately. And that just comes from a deeper place of self-loathing within yourself, right? Not feeling good enough with yourself. Not wanting to make the changes or heal, because that thought is hard, because change is difficult for many people. So let me just stay here in this toxic relationship because that is what I'm used to. And it may feel good, but it really doesn't feel good, right? A lot of times it's because of how we were raised. Maybe we grew up in a very toxic environment, family dynamic where it was so toxic that was normal and natural for us. So we just keep attracting toxicity because that feels comfortable to us, even if it really doesn't feel comfortable, if you understand what I'm talking about. So it's kind of like you feel it in your body. It just sometimes we ignore it. We ignore it. We don't really see it for what it truly is. So again, my loves, this is a time for us to reevaluate relationship dynamics, where we were, where we are, and where we want to be in this newer version of who we are becoming. And we are becoming truth, authenticity, love, coming back to the place of love. It's a journey. It's a journey. And again, some people will get to this level, but they may not. At this present time, it may take them a little bit longer. So it's not about judging where people are. It's where we are in the very present moment. This is who we are. This is where we are. We don't know any different until we go through spiritual awakenings, until we go through clarity, receiving clarity, and our perception starts to change and we start to change. You're not going to see that for what it is until you have gone through the changes, the healing, the releasing, the understanding. Once we can get to that level of understanding, that is when it all begins to shift for us. So where are you when it comes to relationship dynamics in this present moment and time? Are you starting to look at the romantic relationships that are in your life presently and see them very differently than you would have seen them maybe when they first began? Are you starting to feel uncomfortable and unfulfilled in them? Are you looking back at past relationships and where you were then and what you may have tolerated at that time or what you may have allowed at that time? Again, this is not about judgment. Self-judgment is not part of this. It's about observation. It's about gaining clarity, understanding, perception changing so that we can shift with the vibration and frequency that's coming in for us, to bring us into a different place, a higher level of understanding and awareness, a higher frequency, a higher vibration. We are leveling up. So a lot of that is just to look back, reevaluate, and see what you learned, gained from it, and what you no longer wish to carry with you into this new version that you are creating, into this new creation, this new reality that you are creating for yourself. But you have to make that conscious choice to let it go, understand it, and be able to move forward with it. Being transparent, being clear, and being open. Going back to those relationships that we just hold on to because we're bored and we keep going back, but we give that person hope because they think that you're going to choose them one day because of wherever they may be in their lives, and just because you call them and make them feel good, they think they have an opportunity or a chance. But if you already know there is no chance of it ever developing into anything more, but when you need attention, then you really have to make that conscious choice of cutting it. Not only for yourself, but for that person, so that they can move forward in their lives and match and find the right person. Whether it is you doing it or whether it is someone else that's doing it to you, okay? Really take a look at that. Why do I choose to do that? Why do I choose to hold on to that? Because it's choice now, right? It's choice. In this 3D dimension, that is the one thing that we are given, is choice. So, you have the choice now to change it or not. Most of us will change whatever that dynamic was once we have come to a level of understanding it, or learning whatever it is that we needed to learn from that lesson, which then brings it into understanding and clarity. Okay? So be honest. Be truthful, because this is what this new version is representing. Truth, authenticity, who you truly are. This means vulnerability, which many people have a very hard time with being vulnerable. But vulnerability is the true expression of who you are. It truly is. And as scary as it may feel, when you can get to that true expression of who you are by being vulnerable, you are liberating yourself. It's a sense of peace and freedom that you will go through. And that will feel amazing when you can get to that place of liberation, of freedom, of peace, because you are no longer holding it all in. And not only have we been holding it all in, imagine that. It's been in our DNA and cellular memory for eons, for civilizations, for times before, in the past. We've been holding on to this fear of expression, of being who we truly are, because of where we have been, where conformity, was what we needed to be, where we weren't allowed to use our voice or we would be killed, right? Or removed from earth, left alone, abused, whatever it was, whatever it looked like, even in this lifetime. Being at a place where we were not allowed to be who we are. Maybe our parents seen us in a different way and wanted us to be a different way. But it's not to blame our family and our parents, because everyone operates out of the lenses of their own experiences. So they project a lot of their own unhealed trauma, fears, and insecurities onto their children. And then we take it on, and it becomes part of us. And a false identity is created. It doesn't feel good. We're just doing what we are told to do, but really not being who we really are meant to be. So this is where we are giving that chance and opportunity right now to look at this. Look at these dynamics, these relationship dynamics of who you were and all of the different versions and roles that you played to get to this place of clarity and understanding and being true to it, which will then bring in the harmony and peace, liberation and freedom that we've been looking for. Does this mean that it's going to be smooth sailing during this process? No, absolutely not. And I'm not here to sit here and tell you that it will be easy, because it has not and it will not. But it's necessary in order for the change to happen. So where do you want to be? Who would you rather be? The new version that you're trying to create, which is about truth and authenticity, freedom, expression, truth, or the false identity that we created to get through life, to be accepted, to feel like we belong, right? We do all of these things because we're looking for that sense of belonging. But why would we want to belong somewhere where we don't even feel connected to it? Because we're looking for that acknowledgement. We're looking for that acceptance, right? So I'm going to be whatever you want me to be, just so you can accept me. But we come to find at some point in our life, we have been everything that our parents wanted us to be, society wanted us to be, even though it made us unhappy, truly unhappy, and out of alignment with ourselves and created disharmony. But we did it because we may have gotten some temporary fulfillment from it. We may have gotten some temporary acknowledgement from it. But at the end of the day, the ones pushing all of that on to you are not even in alignment with themselves because of their own unhealed trauma. So what is the truth? Why are we pretending to be something for someone else just to be acknowledged and accepted, seen or heard, when it doesn't feel like it's aligned with us? Again, when we're going through those times, we a lot of times consciously aren't aware of it. But this is why this opportunity is being given to you now, to look at that. What do you want to change? What doesn't feel in alignment with you anymore? Where is there disharmony? Where do you feel resistance in your body when you think of certain things that has to do with relationship dynamics? Because relationships and the dynamic of relationship is where we want to all be. We want to belong. We want to be, in a relationship. We want to just be accepted and acknowledged. What we've been searching for our entire damn lives. From past lives to present, right? We didn't know it then, but now we can look at it and say, oh, okay, I understand why that happened. No, I don't really want to be like that person anymore. I don't want to just be because I need to be recognized or acknowledged by my family or my friends or my loved ones or my boss or my romantic partner, right? It's time to evaluate, reevaluate where you have been, where you are, and where you would really truly like to be. Vulnerability, the true expression of who you are. The part of us that so many do not want to allow to happen. But there is a sense of liberation when you can do that. There's definitely a sense of liberation. Are you ready to be liberated? Are you ready to have that freedom? Are you ready to understand where you've been? What needs to change? Are you willing to make those changes? And again, this is not about judgment. This is about understanding, observing, reevaluating, changing, evolving, right? Because every time we change, we're evolving. We're going into the next level, and the next level, and the next level. So it's not to judge if you choose to stay in a situation or a relationship dynamic of any sort because you're not ready to move forward or change or let go of. There's no judgment there, Because when you are ready to do it, you will do it. It's just an understanding that right now, why we are being presented with this relationship dynamic and being able to reevaluate, to understand, to observe, is not about self-judgment, but it's just the ones who are ready to move forward, that are feeling the shifts within. They are coming to another level of now releasing and letting go so that they can become more in harmony with who they are and where they want to be, where they want to go, right? Again, expression of truth, creation. When we speak, we're creating. We're creating a reality, because now you are speaking your truth. Vulnerability is not a bad thing. It doesn't make you weak. It really frees you. It really liberates you. And if other people cannot accept that part of you, then they are not meant to be in your life. Not everyone is. Again, people come in and out, situations come in and out, because we're just supposed to learn lessons, because this is what we chose as a soul to learn as a human. Our soul wants to learn and wants to experience all of these, right? Because we come from a place of divinity, high vibration, higher consciousness. And now our soul wants to come down here into this reality to understand the different dynamics and relationship dynamics and the lessons and understanding of each one of those. Not to be stuck and not to let it define us, but more to move us forward, to help us understand, to help us grow, so that we can get back to that higher consciousness level of awareness and say, oh, I did it. I did it. So again, it's not about self-judgment. Relationship dynamics are coming up because we need to get to the place of creating harmony within ourselves. And we could only know or bring in that harmony within ourselves once we can understand where we came from, where it all was created and where we were, so that we can let it go, especially if it's something that we have held on to that has stopped us from evolving and moving. We create cords, energy cords, with all kinds of situations, people and things. And when those have served their purpose, then we need to let go of that cord. Otherwise, we take it with us. And it kind of keeps us stuck. It doesn't help us evolve now into this place of, okay, I have just gone through all of these changes. I've just made all of these changes. I understand clarity, perception, everything is different. The level of awareness, I understand who I am, what I need, what I want to add to my life, what I don't want. And now I'm ready to create from that lens of experience, because it's a different level of awareness. We have not even been ever at this place, because if you think about a lot of the past lives, we were stuck in conforming to society and belief systems and limitations that we have carried with us forever. And now we're being given a choice. We're being given a choice to let it go, to change it, to shift it, and to live as a true expression of who we are in creation, right? Because we are creators, and we co-create with the universe, with the divine. We co-create. They help guide us. So it's wherever you are in this present moment, but just understand relationship dynamics are coming up for us to get a better understanding of where we've been and where we are and what we want to change, so that we can move into this new version that we are creating, what we don't want to take with us, because not everything is going to come and not everyone is going to come with us. They can't. It doesn't mean you're better and they're not. It just means they're where they're at and you are where you are at. And that's what we have to honor, because it's not about pleasing others anymore. That part of us is being released. People pleasing, which so many of us have done over the years, to be accepted, acknowledged, respected, whatever it is, to be in control. I don't know. Whatever we did, right? Because of the version we were in at that time. So my loves, be free, liberate, become, create, love more than anything. Have that relationship of harmony with yourself. Because once you can get to a place of harmony with yourself, you're going to be able to move forward in a whole nother level of awareness and understanding with clarity. Okay? So don't let this time be hard and difficult and challenging. And it's okay if it is, because maybe there's just some things that we still have to look at. It's really more about us just observing the past, understanding where we've been, where we are, and what we want to shift and change and no longer carry with us. It's a time of us finding harmony and balance within. No more judgment, no self-judgment. Just observe, understand. It's all happening for a reason. Have an amazing week.